Hello and welcome to Glitch Point. Yeah, we're here.
Oh
So I
yeah.
guess just to talk about the things, and this is a probably big "Does anyone care anymore?" question.
Oh.
The Cyberpunk 1.2 patch, and it's great. I'm excited. And I've said on the show multiple times that I'm just waiting for it to get all. This is a pretty large patch. After they were hacked or ransom hacked.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting, to play this game, but I almost feel like I don't care anymore. Like I've been waiting too long. Definitely the excitement's gone.
Yeah, I this game's so odd cuz I mean, yeah, their launch was rough and that's not really why I stopped playing it, but I keep telling myself I need to go back and play it and I don't know, I'm just not in the mood for this type of game right now for me personally. But I am glad it's getting support and that I've happenstance waited until the game is fixed a little bit.
Well, I think it's like, when you first hear about it, you psych yourself up about it, you get really into it, and then when you start playing it, that generates a large point of your momentum to get through a decent amount of the game, and then you usually get, and for these larger games, you usually get to about the 65 to 70 mark, and then you start to get tired, and then what pulls you from the other end is like you're close to finish. You think you're close to finishing. Usually you're not, but you're like, okay, let's just keep going through this until I can make it through the entire game.
Yeah.
But without that initial push, it's like, fuck, dude, you're starting cold. It feels like you're starting cold. I mean, I played a
Yeah.
little bit of the game, but not enough to. Yeah, I don't even remember what I did, and
Yeah,
so
I
I don't
barely
know.
got past the tutorial. And I see what you're saying, and I think that's been my problem with open world games in recent years is like it feels like I've got to build some momentum to get into it that I just can't do straight out the gate, which it's that momentum is always helped by when a new game gets released, and Cyberpunk killed that momentum. Um, but there's other open world games that I just haven't gotten into. But like I am excited for ones that are coming out. Like I'm excited for Horizon 2 to come out and I want to play
Yeah.
that. And I'm God of War is not really open worldy, but like it's got open world elements. It's a big game. I want that to come out as well.
Yeah, yeah, and Halo's not open world anymore.
Yeah,
nor
who
nor
who
would it
who
have ever
fucking
been. No,
knows what Halo really is at this point? We're not sure how open world it is and or how open it not is. Either way, I'm excited for that as well.
well, it comes down on the def. I mean, like everything I read was it comes down to the definition of open world. It like the way that they said it. They're like, because how have we defined open world in today's open world? Um, and I don't think they want to be miscategorized. But
Yeah,
yet,
because
on the other
I
hand,
don't
it's
think they are. I don't think they want an open world, and I don't think anybody, well, not anybody, but I don't think most majority of people want a true open world Halo game. They want open level design, which is like more contained openness, which is perfectly fine. But I wouldn't be surprised if they get more ambitious and they do. I don't know, maybe not full open world, but I know they have to have some linearity to the story, obviously, which other open world games do. But I don't know, I'm really, really wanting to see some campaign gameplay other than that
yeah.
demo we saw, because the demo we saw was like that could have been a linear game. That was not really showing off what the game will be like minute to minute.
Well, I think it might be a little bit like, well, I forget which Gears of War it was that was the last really big one where it was pseudo open world where you would
Yeah,
have
Gears
towns and you go
5.
around. Was it five? Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
five.
and I'm down for that because I loved that in Gears 5, and it was a good pace breaker, and like it definitely felt like something they were dabbling with, and I feel like maybe with Gears 6, I think everybody in general kind of liked it. Maybe they could integrate it a little bit more because for Gears 5, it was definitely like, okay, this is a open mission, this is a non-open mission. It was very binary of a change, and I think that they could maybe mix it a little bit better now
Well,
that it's more proved out.
I do feel like the fact that it's on the ring, or at least a portion of it. I mean, we don't really know, but um, should allow it to be a little bit more open world, and just because you already have a set boundary, so and then it just comes. I mean, I have no idea what the width of the like how long. I
Yeah.
mean, if you were going to do it on like how long does it take a warthog to travel from one side of the ring to the other side width wise.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, like, is it all at any point in time I can do that, or like, is it between missions that I can just go from point, like, from one end to the ring to the other, or is it like during parts of the campaign, different parts of the ring are my current open world segment, which is what I more lean towards of what I would want, but I mean, prove me wrong. I'm just trying to like imagine Halo Infinite being you play Combat Evolved, but you play between the missions because most of Combat Evolved takes place like there's no big time breaks between missions. So like you could put a little bit of gameplay in between all of those missions to get from A to B, and it would work pretty well. So I'm kind of and there's backtracking in Halo Combat Evolved, unlike the other ones. Like you go to the same spots multiple times, which I imagine we're gonna do in this one. I think
Yeah.
it'd be weird if we didn't. Um, so I kind of want it to feel like that rather than like a Cyberpunk or a Horizon game where it's just
Well,
don't give me side. I don't want side quests other than
yeah, I
like,
don't,
oh, there's
yeah.
Marines. Like, oh, I'll go save the Marines. They're on my way. But like, I don't want it to be go talk to this and get this. Like, I don't want a quest log. Like, I just want it to be like, this is your
Well,
mission.
exactly.
Go to
So
it.
that's why I think they're really hesitant to give it the open world tag because, and you know what? None of that stuff actually is what an open world means. The only thing an open world means is that it's open. You know,
Yeah.
you can go anywhere, and there's really nothing that is. And I suppose, yeah, it also comes with the objectives that they're not linear objectives. But you know, in any of those games, you could take out the quest log and have it very still open world, but yet very reactionary rather than set up for you. Like you know,
Yeah.
where you know you see something in the distance, you know that you instantly want to go to, and that kind of pulls the player to one direction or another. But you don't have to. But there's consequences. But I guess the big thing that I'm concerned about if it's not at least the lightest term of open world is the continual development of this game. You know, like the how are they going to expand it in the future other than just changing weapons and I
Yeah.
get it for an open world game. Like I get how you do it for an open world game, but for a not open world game, for like a segmented one where there's like small spaces, you can't really grow on those spaces to make new zones. You just add more spaces, so then it just adds the chain of linearity, which
Yeah, I'm really wanting them to do what Destiny has been doing in terms of being very open with their content pipeline of like in 1 year it'll be this and then it'll be this and like we have an idea at least where the game will go without them spoiling much. And I don't want Halo Infinite to drop and be like, no, 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 we're gonna like continually make this game and then say absolutely nothing. I feel like they're gonna do that though. Because they
yeah,
mentioned when people complain that there's only the main biome, which is the Pacific Northwest looking biome. They're like, well, where's the snow and the desert, which we've seen in other Halo games, which Halo rings have, which was disappointing to hear. And they're like, well, the game is continual, so I'm sure they'll add those biomes. But I'm wondering, like, just how that's going to work. Like, how big and long is this story? Because of the story, the whole game plus all the expansions later on are just going to keep taking place on this one Halo ring. There's a lot, like, I mean, a Halo ring's big, but I really wonder if they're going to handle the story well.
I mean, I guess that just the structural ness of the ring itself kind of dictates how they would have to grow it. I mean, it's just like this is probably one quadrant that we're going to get of the Halo ring, especially with the fact that yeah, we're in the Pacific Northwest, and we're not going to have a lot of those other temporal zones. Um, it kind of seems like they're just going to grow. Like this might like be the first quadrant of the ring, and then you get the second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth, and then that's how they kind of grow it out. But also, it seems a little weird that because not all of the Halo universes happens on a singular ring. So it's
Exactly.
like, how do you tell a story? And then,
Yeah, I think that's my wondering is are they going to be able to tell a complete story with what they've set up? Again, they haven't really said too much of the story, so we don't know, and there's a lot of unknowns. Or is it gonna feel like the game's story is just very incomplete and we just have to keep waiting for it?
well,
And then how long do we have to wait for it?
I also hope it's not like what happened to Destiny, and it's just a lore fest where
Yeah.
it, you know, I think that kills a lot of players where it's just like, oh, well, this is what's happening here, but if you really want to know the grander scope of things, go look it up.
Yeah, and like I mean, right now the story that's been set up is they've got the Banished, which is the new type of covenant or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're on the Halo ring, and apparently we lost some sort of fight. But then in Halo 5, there was an entire war going on with AIs and other Forerunner shit that doesn't seem to be getting alluded to in the story yet, which is odd, but whatever. And then they put it on Zeta Halo, which there's a lot there. There's a lot of history with the Forerunners and the Flood and now the Banished, and like there's a ton of story to be told there. But yeah, it just feels weird of like, is it gonna feel like one Halo game takes place on this ring and then we get these little sub expansions, or is it gonna feel like we have 2 to 3 Halo games that are taking place on the same place, which that's just seems odd.
Yeah, I mean,
Or
it's
are they going to take us off the Halo ring? Which then why would they put so much effort into the Halo ring? That's what I don't think they will do.
well, I think it gives a good perspective of it kind of brings the viewpoint to more about what is happening on a singular ring. What is because I think that by creating the importance of a singular ring, it might ground players into understanding what's going on in the entire story. Because I think a lot of their problems in the storyline is it is very large and there's just a lot going on and it seems very scattered all over the place. So if we can really understand the fundamental, which these rings kind of hold that truth of the fundamental, of this wiping out the food source for the flood, right?
Yeah.
So and this whole intergalactic battle that's surrounding these rings and like uh, maybe that's why they chose the ring itself to give people an understanding. But yeah, but for expansions and stuff, I don't know. I don't know where the hell they're gonna go.
Yeah, because
Um,
like the original trilogy, you can see like there's other stories going on, but it's mainly about the flood, and that's the story arc of those 3 games, and it takes place on all sorts of places. But with this one, it's just like yeah, there's a lot of potential to open stories, but like will the locations feel new? And it just seems I don't know, it seems weird. Like I wonder if we're going. I think we're gonna get an incomplete story kind of feel.
oh, like a to be continued. Well, I mean,
Yeah, which I mean the past 2 Halo games have kind of well the first one was or Halo 4 was a complete story it felt. Like if that was the end, I could see that. It did allude to other things, but it was definitely more cohesive. And Halo 5 ended like in the middle of a story. You're just sitting there like, "Wait, are you serious? That's the end?" Like it didn't make a lot of sense why the story ended, which there's many problems with that story other than that part. And then this game was like, well, we know we left at a weird spot, but now we're like way like years into the future, and there's other things going on. It just is so weird. I need answers.
well, it is just. I think it's just the source of creating a world based off of game development.
Yeah.
Especially like there's the problem with doing this, and we've seen this with a lot of, and we've actually talked about it, but is it's just you have to carry all the other games along with you, and it's like you can't really erase stuff. You can try to, but um, games are made so differently today than they were when Halo started. Like,
Yeah.
so it's just they were more about gameplay, and yeah, they had a grand story, but a lot of the stuff they wrote along the way, and so it definitely has that feel of creating these elements to the world that allowed for those games that use those elements to exist.
Hmm.
And whether it be new weapon types or new movement types or what it's like we're taking we're trying to create story out of mechanics,
Yeah.
and it's just hard to do. It's like that's you're trying to do two things at once. It's not like making a movie.
Yeah, and
um,
I think the cloud around what do they mean by open world is gonna paint the picture once they finally reveal that. Because if I'm wondering of like, well, when I beat the last mission of the game, do I then roam the Halo ring, or do the credits roll and I'm done? Which most open world games you keep playing. There's an end game, or you can go complete your objectives, and some don't. Like Fallout 3 killed you, and
yeah,
then they reverse that. But I'm wondering if that's the case, or and then if that's the case, then it feels like there's going to be an open world, and then I can go start missions, or is it going to be this is mission 1? Here's a segment of the Halo ring to free roam, and then once you're done with this mission, you're no longer at that segment of the Halo ring, which is
that's
kind of
what I
where I would prefer it to go.
really that's kind of what I don't want. That's very much the Gears of War, or sorry, Metal Gear 5. um
Yeah.
that's very much how it was. It was just like you get these like areas. You just go from area to area. But we've seen that a lot. I think that especially with the being confined on the ring, there would be a lot of benefit, and it also just changes the way the game itself plays. And they've alluded this to a lot about how you approach um, a objective, depending on what direction you want to approach it at, or like, there might be secondary things going on that might
Yeah.
help, like, freeing your fellow comrades from, um, I don't know, whatever. And then they help you take the bigger objective.
Yeah.
Um, and you know what? What I really want is I want a feel of things happening, but if I don't do them and life still goes on. Like I don't want to ever fail the mission.
Yeah, and I mean, other than like, yeah, dying, I understand that part,
Yeah,
and I
dying, but
that's why I mean the reason I lean more towards the each mission has its own area is because that has been how certain missions in Halo has worked before, and it does allow for like a lot of just you can goof around at a segment of a mission with your friends because you don't want to do the objective, and it doesn't feel like you have to be pushing forward on the objective. But I also don't want them to have the story be like other open world games where the main story can just get completely left alone because you're just too busy doing side quests and stuff.
the other thing about like other open world games is they're based off of NPCs, and
True.
to be honest, I think there's an opportunity here, and I can't think of a really good game that does this, but where it's not NPC based or it's not trigger based, it's time based.
Yeah.
So whether you get there and stop whatever you're supposed to be stopping because you're on a mission, you have orders, and if you fail your orders, if life continues on, what are the second options to try to save it? But it'll be harder, and like maybe that creates replayability. Now you can try it at different approaches. That's what I would really love to see. But I mean, it's a little
Yeah.
dangerous.
I mean, yeah, I would love more time mechanics in terms of you have a limited time to do a thing and a difficulty just adjusts how much time that you have. Because, I mean, we saw that once in Halo Combat Evolved on the Warthog run at the end, there's a timer and it'll blow up if you don't beat the
Yeah,
timer. But, like,
yeah.
that's just to get people to get going.
That's very
That's
light
just,
though.
yeah, it's thematic. It wasn't really there for much. But I'd like to see them bring that back and be like, yeah, you have 20 minutes until the Banished set off their AA gun and we're ready to go, but we have 20 minutes to kill. And then you can be like, well, what can I do in 20 minutes? Go save those Marines or like go scavenge for some ammo.
Well, you know what? It's a lot like it's what it would be was if you have a lot of time, right, or you have little time, but you can make options, and it allows you to get things, as you said, that will secure the main objective, whatever you were tasked with in the beginning, and it's just
Yeah.
and then that just comes to your approach. Um, yeah, I don't know if there's any like games that are quite like that. It kind of reminds me of Vice City. Was it Vice City or oh no, what was the one in LA where you had
San
to like
Andreas.
San Andreas? Yeah, so like where you had like, and this is a harper back from Grand Theft Auto 2, where there were gangs and like territories and stuff. But I remember in San Andreas where it was a lot about like taking territories and stuff, and that was just really interesting too because it allowed it for it was more just about control of the area and like being and I feel like there's a lot of elements that you can play with that don't have to do with traditional open world games. I think that the formula for open world can be played with a lot, and I'm just hoping they'll take a chance because I've already seen what we think it is with the Metal Gear stuff. I feel like that's been done a lot. I would be a little bit disappointed, but you know what? It's safe. It's very safe.
Yeah, I know. Well, in the last update that they had, Joseph Staten put out some anecdote of him playing the game, and he mentions, but doesn't elaborate, of course, of him driving around in a Warthog and being like, "Oh, I found some Marines that are being trapped in a jail from the Banished. I need to go save them." And it sounded very just like, "Oh, I could do this as the side thing," and he just kind of saved them. And he just kind of chose to do that, and then they went into other things. But that seems like the approach that they're taking. There's just small little sub objectives that you don't have to do, but will help you on the mission.
Yeah.
Which Halo does really well. I mean, in the mission Halo, where you have like the three different areas of interest in Halo Combat Evolved, and you have to go save the Marines on each one of them. The game requires you to do all three before you can beat the mission, but along those sub areas you get like the sniper or rocket and stuff like that. So it'd be cool if a lot of those became more optional and it's like, well, I save every marine so I get really good weapons. Or it would be really cool if like, well, I saved every marine so now I'm doing the final mission with a squad of 8 marines.
Yeah. No,
Which
agreed.
that's so Halo and it would be amazing. So I hope that they do that. And in his little anecdote, he mentions like he saved the Marines and they got in the Warhog with him, and then he went on and fought another banished squad. So pieces seem like they're there.
Yeah, they do. It just comes down to, I mean, with the pushback, which I guess is now being in November. It looks like there was
Yeah,
a
makes sense.
yeah. You saw that also with
Yeah,
the
I mean,
actor or whatever
when they said they were
into the
pushing it
November.
to 2021, I was like, well, it's got to be November, especially because that's going to be the 20th anniversary of Come and Evolve. Like it made too much sense. So I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
surprised
and
at
it's
all.
Christmas season, so it's like
Yep.
that's where you get all your sales.
Yeah, Halo
Um,
always releases around that time.
and hopefully there'll be enough consoles out there. I have no idea when the shortage is going to
Yep.
end. I'm still waiting to get my PS5, and I can't get myself to fight for it. I just want it to be available. And I
Yeah,
don't.
I agree with you. I mean, I I would be in that boat. I hope that the PSVR doesn't go through the same dilemma.
Well, I actually don't think so because, well, I guess by the time the PSVR comes out, the market will be saturated. But I don't know. I honestly, with with people getting their second vaccines already, that it hopefully people will go back to normal lives and have other interests and aspirations that they won't be like constantly trying to get new game consoles. But who knows? I mean, we're definitely entering into a world where we're going to be very technologically centric. I mean, we have been up to this point, but it seems like we're very focused on it right now. And I think it's because of the pandemic and just the possibilities that technology can assist us. I was actually going to ask you this. So it's funny because I love to show people VR that haven't played it before.
Hmm.
Um, and I was showing, it's a friend over, so I was showing them VR, and a couple of them hadn't played it before, and it's like it's always Beat Saber. It's like that's
Oh
what you
yeah.
do. You
All
do
I
beats.
was,
You
I
do
was gonna
Beat
say
Saber.
I showed my girlfriend VR for the first. She had never done VR, and I showed it to her about 2 weeks ago. Well, you just played Beat Saber. That's it.
Well, it's funny because that game one, it came out a long time ago.
Uh huh.
It's got to be like a year or two old now.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
I think it's older than that. It's got to be like. I swear that was coming out like 4 years ago.
but it's still like the go-to introduction uh,
Yeah, 3 years ago.
app for VR for any of the
Yep.
VR headsets. And it's interesting because there's actually a lot of movement into a lot more hardcore games, but there seems to be a big division between introductory software. And maybe I'm just not looking at it, but like when I want to show someone like where do you go past Beat Saber? And then it's like
Well,
and
it's so hard with V. I mean, the Beat Saber is just the game for VR, and I think it will be for a very long time because I mean, one, but it comes off of that Rock Band, which everybody loved Rock Band and Guitar Hero at some point, and especially because if you play Beat Saber on PC, you can mod and get any song really in the world, which is like even
yeah.
cooler. Which is why I showed my girlfriend because she likes the musical Hamilton, so she just played Hamilton songs on the game, which good for her.
Did
But it's
she use MIDI
so
data?
it's really just song files. There's like a
Oh,
browser
okay.
online called Chorus or something. But
Okay.
it's just like you don't have to teach them how to play. Like you literally just say hold the controller and swing your arm. And it's like the colors are easy. It's like there's one or two colors. I mean, there's harder difficulties and for her and even when I play because I just don't want to get crazy with it. I just turn off directions, so I just have to hit the things in any direction.
Yeah.
That it's just like everyone gets it right away. Even if they've just like seen like a gif of it, they're like, "Yep, I know how to play the game." I
Yeah.
don't know any other game that is that easy. Even Mario, which is just running and jumping, is not that easy. I mean, it's easy, but like it is not that intuitive.
Well, it just seems like there's not a lot of the apps that are coming out right now. There's a lot of new shooter apps that are. I mean, there are a lot more like. It seems like the gap between the hardcore VR player and the new VR player is becoming greater. Like,
Yeah.
there's not as many people. Like when it first came out, there was just so many like just hey, this is VR. Check out VR. This is cool. Like even first when Steam came out with the Lab VR Lab or whatever. I think it's called the Lab. Isn't it the Lab?
something like that.
Lab or something. Yeah, and that was just like a great introductory app. But it's like Beat Saber even overtook that one.
Yeah, no, I really don't think anything's gonna beat Beat Saber. Like it's so the other day when I was playing, I was like, wait, I couldn't even remember if the game was free or not. I don't think Beat Saber's a free game, right?
No, it's not.
Okay, yeah, I literally was like everyone,
Should be.
every single person I've ever had VR with, or they've owned one, I've owned it. Everyone has Beat Saber. At the point where I was like, is this game free? And it's not. So just everybody buys it because it's so great,
Yeah.
and it's good exercise too, honestly.
I think the only other way to get it like and I think once the technology becomes a little bit lighter and a little bit obviously we both have we're connected to our PCs with the Index, but as that becomes less of a thing, you're not connected. I do think that these interactive social apps where you can spend time with other people is probably going to be the next introductory app that I just don't think the tech's there to really get people involved because I think it still is straining to look at and there's still like, it
Yeah,
just doesn't feel quite right. But I think we're like a couple iterations off, maybe even just one iteration off of VR. When the next wave of VR headsets comes out, hopefully, that'll just looks really good, and then
hmm
you'll be like, okay, well, I can spend my day in VR, and then you can start to like. I think that'll bring a lot of people in, beyond just the Beat Sabers and the other things, that we use to show new people the awesomeness of the world that we're entering into.
yeah.
But it just blows my mind, man. It blows my mind that Beat Saber's still like the biggest game on there.
I mean, it's my top played VR game. I mean, some my favorite is still Half-Life Alyx, but I mean, Beat Saber is a close second. It's just so it's great. But I also love like rhythm music games. Like I just got Clone Hero, which I've been told to get for like years, and I just finally pulled the trigger, and it's just the coolest thing ever. Just being able to download any song and play with a guitar is just so cool.
Oh, cool. So it's just like a Guitar Hero based.
Oh yeah, it's literally Beat Saber but guitars. Although I guess it's inverted because Clone Hero's been around for a while. But yeah, just you download any song, make your own songs, upload
Oh, that's
them.
neat.
Yeah, no, it is awesome. So like the reason I wanted to get it was because I used to play a lot of Beatles Rock Band and I had it on the Wii and then I lost all my DLC, which even then the game had like maybe a third of their whole discography. But of course, because the internet can be an amazing place, some dude was like, "Yep, I need all the Beatles songs," and they just put every single one of them on this game, and I
That's
just
awesome.
downloaded them off Google Drive. So
Yeah, that's really
the
nice.
internet can be such a great place sometimes.
Yeah, well, when it's friendly.
Yeah.
The other one is Guitar Smith. I think is an amazing game. I
Oh
love that
yeah.
game.
Yeah,
I
that
don't
was
know if
really
you've
cool.
have you tried it.
I haven't tried it. No.
You should
I
because I know
really
you
always
said.
wanted to though.
Well, I actually said this to another person who was starting to play guitar, Cole, which but nobody else knows. But
Yeah.
and he's been loving it. He's like he uses it because it's a great way to practice. It's like an amazing. I'm actually thinking about doing it again, start playing it again because it's just like an easy thing to practice your scales or practice songs.
Yeah.
Just really fun to do.
No, I'll
Really good
definitely
game.
pick it up at some point.
And there's a ton of music on it too. Like they were pumping out songs for that for quite a long time after it was even relevant.
That's good.
Yeah.
But
all right,
before we stray from, 'cause we already strayed from Halo.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
there
yeah.
was another thing that I wanted to talk about, which is their audio
Shoot.
solution to Halo Infinite, which is at first I was like, don't all games do this? But then they specifically explained it, and it sounds like something every game needs now, which is they call it a threat priority system for their audio. Which they said something of like, they analyze the audio frame by frame and do all this stuff. But what it is it determines what audio is providing the biggest threat and makes that the loudest and most prominent noise. So that in the case where you're
Oh,
shooting
cool.
with your buddies, like you have two guys next to you shooting other people, but then you have another guy on the enemy team directly aiming and shooting at you, you're going to hear the guy shooting at you more so than you're going to hear your teammates.
It's not gonna get confusing though. Like okay,
No, because I mean, it's all like they also have spatial audio and it's all situational. But like it, I mean, yeah, audio
and
will grab
rank
your attention.
would it be rank based? Like if two people are shooting at you, would it take the higher rank enemy?
No, I mean it'll probably. I mean, it's gonna play. It's not like it's not gonna play one. It's just gonna make one sound a little more
Well, no,
louder.
I know, but if it's like switch, you know what I'm saying? Like if two
Yeah,
people are shooting at you and then it starts switching back and forth because
No, yeah, it's got to be some sort of I'd hope. Like I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
I don't know any other game that is the way they talked about it. It doesn't seem like other games have done this before. Maybe there are. One game that I beg to do this with is Apex Legends, which I've been playing a lot of, and that game can be very frustrating where my teammates' footsteps and gunshots are as loud as the enemy. Sometimes I feel like louder, and it's because they're really close to me. So like I'm just constantly trying to listen to things and be like, no, 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 that's my teammate, and it can get very frustrating, and they need to figure something out.
yeah, because that's a huge part about being competitive in
Yeah.
games today. Is sound.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it becomes super important. But yeah, I mean, it makes it obviously, with the idea of threat, it's just the definition of threat. And then once you create who do you tag with the most threat, which probably comes to all sorts of factors, I would
Yeah, I'm
imagine.
assuming like are they aiming at me? Have they landed damage on me? How far away are they? Are they even on the
What
enemy
rank are
team?
they? Like if somebody's,
That
yeah, I
would be
mean,
funny if they got like player level in there. Like, oh, that guy's a level 5. That guy's level 20 though. Just listen to
well,
that
I
guy.
mean, it makes sense because otherwise it's just I feel like if it's not that, and because obviously in Halo multiple people are shooting at you, you're getting hit by multiple enemies, it's just gonna be bouncing all over the fucking place. But if it's like, okay, within this fire team, this is the leader of the fire team, he's shooting at you, along with these other people. Maybe you should take him out first,
Yeah, I
type
mean, I don't
thing.
think it's going to be as granular as like it will be able to switch between two guys because they keep swapping between.
It'll just be in
Like,
a general direction.
yeah, and I think it's going to be very like the multiplayer aspect of it is one thing, and I know in the campaign they mentioned how like this you were driving around and you can hear the birds and all these other things, but then all of a sudden someone shoots you with a rocket, and that was really loud compared to everything else because they want to grab your
Oh, that's really
attention.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's really
that one was
cool.
cool. And I think multiplayer was mainly the idea of you shouldn't, the teammates that are shooting next to you should be blasting your ears. You should be able to hear the enemies. So I think it's going to just be like
Oh,
enemies
so
big or priority.
this is only in multiplayer that they're doing this, not
They're
necessarily
doing it everywhere. The
everywhere.
whole
Yeah.
game.
So I was talking more campaign based, but yeah, in multiplayer, I guess it makes a lot more sense. But it definitely, yeah. Still, I mean, I don't
They
know
got
what
to
you
do it
consider
right.
a
You're right.
threat.
Like
Yeah,
they
I don't know what you
definitely need
consider
to
a
pull it
threat.
off. I don't know if they have or not. I haven't seen it in
Because like, what if
action, but
somebody's like, switching back and forth with their teammate on two different sides of the map, but they're both shoot, and like, what if they pinch you or, it just could get really confusing if it's not done
yeah.
well. Because if you don't want to be hearing like sounds switching concentration from opposite sides of the map, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it'll be that drastic. Like I don't think it's gonna be because like if right now without the system, if two guys were shooting me from two different sides of the map, I would hear both of them shooting at me from both directions, and I'd have to just process two different areas of fire getting on me. And in this case, I think it's still gonna do that. It's just not gonna play in the situation where I have teammates next to me shooting outwards as well. I'm not gonna hear them as much as the other guys.
But you could even do like rather than just rank, you could even do just uh, damage dealt. Like whoever has the most damage dealt that game
Yeah.
gets precedent in sound. So because that means they're having a really good game, right? They're getting more shots on. They're
I mean, yeah, but that doesn't I guess maybe priority, but that doesn't necessarily always mean they're the highest threat to you.
That's true, but they're more likely to be the highest threat to you because usually, like I mean, I always look at when I play Halo multiplayer is it's a sea of probabilities, right? And this is what allows one person to get more kills in the end. Not necessarily that they're doing damage dealt, because you're right. Sometimes people are just picking off the last shot over and over and over again, and they just get a really high score.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think damage dealt is like probably the best number in there.
I love that as a stat, and that's something
It's my favorite number. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I love Apex for, that they I think they've always done it, but now it's in the HUD all the time. Like when I'm playing, I can see how many kills I have, how many assists, and how much damage is dealt because yeah, it's funny when the guy's like, "Well, I'm the kill leader. I have the most kills." And I'm like, "You have 200 damage. Like that's not even enough to kill a single dude."
That just means they got
Where
super lucky
exactly,
and
but then
they
my
hit everybody
teammate
on their last
has
shot.
7 assists with like 1,500 damage, and they're the one pulling the weight. But It's a funny stat, and I really like it, and I hope more games just show me. I like just numbers. Give me all of the
Yeah.
numbers.
Only one that I know that does that is Halo 5. Has the damage dealt in the Halo
Yeah.
series.
Uh, you might
I don't I don't think 4 did it?
maybe. Yeah, I think there was a. I don't know. I can't remember, but yeah, Halo 5 does have
Because
it.
when 4 came out, it was all about KD. I mean, KD was the supposedly the end
Yeah.
all number.
I mean, at that time in gaming, KD was like everything.
Yeah.
And now it
It-
seems like KDA is everywhere. Like,
yeah. Well, that the problem that I have with KDA is KD is a very simple
exactly.
algorithm.
I know.
KDA can be anything on the fucking planet. It's like, oh, we have our own proprietary algorithm to figure out KDA.
I know. I,
And
I
it's like, I don't know.
understand that it makes people feel better because KDA is always higher than KD. And a majority of people probably have negative KD, or less than one is usually what they actually have,
Yeah.
because negative would be really players hate negative numbers. It just made so much sense. I like KD for that exact reason. It's like,
Well, it's
nope,
just a
I have
simple.
that. Yeah, it's just
You can't
simple.
fuck with that equation. It is literally kills over, deaths. It's like you
Yeah, and it's
can't.
just like if I see 0 point something, that means I die more than I kill. That's it. But if I see one, anything above the number one, I know that's my happy place. I'm like, I at least deal out more than I take. That's all
Yeah.
I want.
And actually, I remember. I think it was Halo 3 that started the KDA crap, and then, or maybe it
I
was
don't.
Call of Duty. Maybe it was
Yeah,
Call of
I think it
Duty.
was a Call of Duty game.
You're right. It was a Call of Duty game because yeah, that started the KDA, and they had like a special way to calculate. But the thing with Call of Duty was they actually didn't. The early ones, at least, didn't change who you were playing based off of your skill level, so it really didn't matter. It was all just about time in the game. Um,
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember what Destiny has an interesting one, and I can't remember. There's a way to check just your. Ah, God, I can't remember. I haven't played Destiny in so long.
yeah, I don't know. I only played it for a little while.
And it's just weird. Okay, let's see if I can see. Oh, efficiency. They have this thing called efficiency, which I believe is just a direct division. It's really I think it's just defeats divided by deaths,
Is
and
that
that's it.
trademarked?
I don't fucking know. So like this guy's got 26 defeats and he died X many times, so he has an efficiency of 4, which it is pretty much just KD.
Damage dealt
Um,
is the only one I look at anymore, and like I think
I
that's
like it.
it's so simple. It's
Yeah.
shots that hit, and depending on where you hit them, it's literally how much life you took off of that player.
Yeah, I
The
agree. I think
players in
damage
total.
dealt should be the new norm. Like
Yeah,
who did the most work? Because that is who did the most work, not who got X many kills.
yeah.
Other game modes it doesn't make sense because like capture the flag and all that stuff. But
But how
yeah,
do you even do that in the Call of Duty world where now you're like calling an ordnance? What is
yeah.
it?
I mean,
What
like
is a
kills have
nuclear
a place,
device?
but well, that's a good point. I
How much
think
damage does that deal?
that's actually something Halo 4 did that I liked, which I liked it. I understand why they took it out because people didn't like it, which was their ordnance drops, which was their answer to kill streaks, and it wasn't. Which Call of Duty does this well. Yeah, they have what called their score streaks, which I think they
Score
came out
streaks.
around the time, which is really just if you get an assist, you get 50 points, kills are 100, and like those add up to certain things. And in Halo, that added up to ordnance, so you could get a ton of assists and eventually get your ordnance. Um, but I liked it a lot because in Forge mode, you could determine what gave what points. And it was
Oh,
really
that's cool.
cool to like that was a cool thing for custom games because I had a game mode where it was like it was all skill based. So like if you got a headshot, you got more points than you did for a body shot, and it was just like the best, most impressive kills were the ones who won the match. It was
Yeah.
fun. But they took it out, so oh well.
Well,
I
you
think
never
that
know.
stat somewhere lives there, but like there are some game modes with that ordinance that you just can't do.
Yeah, it does. It does kind of mess with the damage dealt a little bit, but it still works. It works well enough.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
mean,
Let's just even then just put damage dealt in the scoreboard at the bare minimum. Like that's how you determine who's in first place.
yeah. Or I honestly think that the damage that you deal should be what inflates your level. So those are like basically that's your experience.
Oh, that'd
So
be
you,
interesting, or
yeah,
at
you
least
level
like
up.
a scale of your experience, like some sort of way where like the more damage, the more experience.
I mean, it depends on the game, but like if it's just without any ridiculousness, if it's just a regular shooter, it actually really reflects how well you're doing. Um, because right now I think it's elements of like winning the game. I mean, you can hide, and still win a game, and I mean
No,
even
I think you're onto something because like there's still people who grind out matches and they don't play or they rubber band their controller so that they just get the end game XP, which is I just think is stupid. It's just participation rewards, but
yeah,
this would work. Like, and again, like it would suck if you get more, which I think Halo 5 and other games do it. Of like if you get first place, you get more XP, which on paper sounds nice, but if you are the guy who, as my friends call it, bottom feed and you
yeah.
just take kills and just one shot everybody because everyone else is doing the work, then you get the most XP for doing that. But damage dealt solves that problem.
Well, it's these games are so funny. Like especially when everyone's fairly competent with their roles, it really just comes to it's random. It's like you'll have a game that you'll just hit the last shot on like every person, and you look
Yeah,
like a and then there's other ones where you feel like you're doing really well, but you're just not getting any kills.
yeah,
And it
definitely.
yeah it just I think it's a frustrating moment for a lot of players because it's like, well, I think I'm consistently doing good, but and it also has to do with it would take away from having a bad team member, which is another one. Like if you don't have
Yeah.
a full team and you have a bad team member, although he wouldn't, yeah, it wouldn't mess with your level. So then it would just be how much damage can you put into the. But then I guess what if you have a guy that drops? Now you technically have more damage that you can put in than the other team. So I don't know.
Wait, what?
So like say like you're on a team of four and one of the guys drops. Now it's a team of three against a team of four. There's more potential damage for you to take, I
Oh, yeah. I
guess.
mean,
But that's true.
yeah. Yeah. I don't think that the damage you take should be a
Or
reflection.
put on the other players, like how much damage you dealt. There's
Yeah, I
more
think it
potential
should.
damage dealt.
Oh, yeah, there
Yeah,
is, but I mean, I think that's a good thing. Like if you have to three man a four squad game, and you are dealing some more damage than normal, you should get rewarded for A, sticking into the match, and B, like working your ass off to try to, play in a match where you're outgunned.
yeah,
So I think that helps even more. I really like this damage dealt idea. We got to get this somewhere.
yeah.
I mean,
Let's
that's my
talk to the
favorite thing about
teams.
Apex is when like I have a match where I get 0 kills and I'm like, well, fuck. And then at the scoreboard, it's like, well, you did a ton of damage and I have the most damage on my team. I'm like, awesome.
Yeah,
Like I feel perfectly okay now. I am validated.
yeah. That's all that matters is because if you start to like feel shitty because you didn't get the kills, it's morale. Then you're talking about morale, and then that brings you down, even though you were doing fine the whole
Yeah, and
time.
then like, how many matches have people been in where you're on the bottom of the kill feed because you were the one who was getting their kills stolen, and then the douchebag on the top is like, dude, you suck, you have 2 kills, where he has like 18 because he was following your ass the whole time, just
Yeah.
cleaning up.
Which is kind of what they want assists to do, but
Yeah.
I feel like assists are not accurate. I don't know what makes an assist. I don't know what percentage of life you have to, or if it's like your kill gets stolen at the end.
Okay,
But I
Battlefield. I love what they did with that because you get literally the points for the percentage of damage you dealt. So if I do 98% of the damage to a guy and some guy walks up and cleans him up with a shot, he gets a kill for 2 points and I get an assist for 98.
Yeah, that's
It's
awesome.
genius. I
Yeah,
love that
that's
about the
really good.
Battlefield franchise. But they're very team, but like their whole idea is just we are like you want to be in a squad in your team and stuff like that, which I like Battlefield for. Which I'm so pumped for Battlefield 6. I really want them to kick ass. Go back to the
Yeah,
modern era, which I think Battlefield does better than anybody else.
you mean away from Battlefield 1?
Yeah, like I mean, I appreciated us going back to World War One and World War Two, and I know Call of Duty. There's a rumor that Call of Duty 2021 will be going back to World War Two, which I would love. I think it'd be stupid, but Call of Duty has some dumb names. They should call it Call of Duty World War Two too, because they already have Call of Duty World War Two as a name, so they just got to make a sequel to it, which people
Yeah,
didn't like that one that much. But anyways, yeah, Battlefield had a stint with going back to older ones, and that was fine. and they were good. But man, Battlefield just really goes well with modern era. They really know how to do it well.
Well, yeah, I mean, also just all the, I mean, it's not Battlefield, but all the Star Wars games as well play very well with the same, what is it?
Oh, the
What's the
Dice
engine?
engine? Yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah,
Dice
and then I
engine.
mean I
Thank
think
you.
that's why they were going back to old ones was because they had Star Wars, then they switched over to. They were swapping between the two,
Well,
which
I
I
mean,
don't know
I
if
would
they're
say
gonna
that's
do this time.
a very futuristic take on it, right? I mean, I
Oh
know it's
yeah.
Star Wars, but that's kind of where what we want to see with the Battlefield,
Oh yeah. I mean,
and to have,
I think that a lot of people will complain, and Battlefront had some issues with EA and stuff like that. But if you look at Battlefront 2 now, it's like the best Star Wars game that I
it
think
is.
we've ever seen. Well, in terms of that type of game, like not like a linear game, but like for a multiplayer game, and I think that the Battlefield formula worked wonders on Battlefront. Like it
Yeah.
did feel like that game was just destined to go to that engine, and I love that game.
Yeah, it's a
It's
really
so
good
damn
game.
great.
I think it was a little bit. I played it early on, and I actually went back to it recently and played for a little while, and it definitely cleaned up a lot.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that I didn't like about it was, I think it was two, right? Was with the iconic characters.
Oh, the
That was
heroes?
the heroes, whatever you
What
want
a
to say. Yep.
Yeah, what about him?
I just felt like they were a little bit much, especially when it first came out. I felt it was they were somewhat a little bit too powerful
Yeah,
for my
sometimes I can feel
liking,
that way.
and it
Yeah.
just felt like it's just a thing that you try to get you get the iconic character, sorry, hero character,
Yeah, that's fine.
um, and that kind of sways the game. Like, but I don't like things that are random, and it wasn't random, but you know what I'm saying. It just didn't feel. And this is actually what I don't like this about Call of Duty too, and the ordinance or whatever. I want it to be about how good you play and how good your team plays together. I don't want these big elements that sway the match. I
I
personally don't like
yeah,
that.
I respect that they're there and sometimes I
It's
have
gimmicky
fun
a
and I
little
mean
bit.
that's my big not quarrel with Destiny, but like if I'm not in the mood for if I'm in the mood for an even playing field, Destiny's not my way to go because of the supers and the classes and everything. And especially that when they make a new super that just breaks all the other ones and the game is broken, it's unfortunate. But that's why I'm such a Halo fan and that's why I love Halo multiplayer is like and that's why I think even though there's a lot of issues with Halo 5's multiplayer and other things about it, they did do the thing we wanted, which was going back to an even playing field. Because when you
Yeah,
boot up Halo 5, it's like you've got everything you need to play, and that's it. And then you have to go get a power weapon, which is like that's bread and butter Halo, and I love that so much.
but none of the power weapon. And the thing I love about the Halo 5 that they eliminated from like Halo 3 and the different Halo series is they tell you when the power weapons are coming up. Although they don't tell you when the overshield or invisible are coming up, which I think they should. I feel
Yeah,
like it shouldn't be like because yeah, maybe it gives the people like the capability to have their little timers, their mental timers set so that they know exactly when to check for those weapons. But it sucks when you get a team that is just focused on getting the times perfect, and so they're always there. But I like that they did that with the power weapons. Is everybody knows when they're going to show up on the map. So one, it makes it so that there's an engagement at that weapon, and there's kind of like a time event that everybody's aware of. Um,
yeah, I do and don't like it. Like because not all the weapons do it. There are power weapons that are on the floor, which that's the rule of Halo 5. If it's on the floor, then it doesn't get a timer. But if it's specifically getting spawned, then yeah, it does have a timer. And I know there's game modes that turn it off. And yeah, I do. I liked the idea of you had to learn maps in the older Halos, and like your map knowledge was also part of how good of a player you were. So knowing where those things were when they spawned and stuff like that. But I do sometimes like the interaction of like, oh, sniper spawns up, so everybody go run over to there.
well, it also allows you to
I
get a
could
lot of
go either
kills because
way.
and the other thing is it's when you try to make too many requirements for professional play or to play competently, it and this is a lot of other games do this where I feel like there are too many requirements. It takes a while for you to get into it. which can be tedious.
Yeah,
Where
but like when I think about playing the older Halo games, like it didn't take long to learn where those power weapons were. Like, and there are maps where like even today I can still go back and be like, yep, that's where that power weapon is.
Yeah, no, not just where they were, but I mean, like it's a level of play. Like, I think that I think you are a more intense player if you're calling out the time codes on all the weapons. And this is what I used to do in Halo 2 and subsequently 3 was, when I actually cared about being good, you would call them out to your team like this is spawning, and and you just have to know, you
Yep.
just have to know when everything's going to spawn, and then you just it's how you kind of manage the map and have the advantage. So like if you can get those things, then the advantage. And yes, you would still have for the other teams that were doing that, you would still have those moments where everyone was trying to get the spawned item at the same time. But this way, just it makes it inviting to everybody. Everybody gets the opportunity to have the same experience. I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if it's a bad thing. I'm liking it now because I don't really want to take these games so seriously anymore.
Yeah.
Um, that it's nice to just have the game tell me that it's coming up, and it's like,
Yeah,
oh well,
I think
sit my
that's where
bear.
I'm at as well. Of like I appreciate what it does for Halo to not have those things get called out, but at the same time it's like it's I know someone will like, lose their shit if I call this a minor detail, but it sure fucking feels like a minor detail. I mean, you get one thing that gets called out to you, and it's a power weapon. Like that's the point of Halo multiplayer is to get the power weapons. Like you can turn it off in custom games. I think that's enough. Or again, if the fact that they did this and it's perfectly fine, and I think this is where Halo 5 really shines, and people don't give 343 enough credit, which is they really gave a lot of options for custom games, and the Forge was amazing, which people do give them credit for. But custom games had so many options that they had a very flexible set of rules for Halo 5 that allowed them to have some fun game modes. And I like that because yeah, you can have the quick play game mode where you have weapon callouts and you have all the armor abilities, but then if you really want a MLG experience, that wasn't hard for 343 to be like, okay, here's the MLG playlist. No weapon callouts, and you don't. I think they took out thruster charge and ground pound because those are kind of trashy.
Yeah.
Um, and it was great. Like, and then it's like, okay, cool. We can just that can be Halo. Like, if you want that, but yeah, I like that they have these options for casual people or people who have full time jobs, 20 minutes a night to play a game, and they don't want to have to learn all the maps in the game.
I honestly do think though that like there can be the one thing that I dislike that they don't do is giving you any way to see the map in game. So
Yeah.
a quick reference guide because there's been a lot of times where I'm like, if I have to go online and look up a map, I feel like I'm doing too much.
You
And
are.
I feel like if that doesn't change, like I should be able to look at the contents of the game in the game, if it's so important that it's going to change how I play, like where the hell is this overshield in this map? I remember there was a couple of them like took me forever to figure out in Halo 5, it's been playing recently, where the overshield was again. It's like, and people, you just get dominated if you don't know those things because the players that know those just constantly get them, and then you're dealing with more than you can handle. Um,
And actually, that's something that is also a counterpoint to having all of these options for 343 is it just feels like, and they want to make the game balanced, and that's fine to balance the game and stuff, but it just, for me who played Halo 5 at launch and then is coming back into it now, a lot I've just like lost my knowledge of the maps because they change weapon spawns, they change what weapons spawn on certain maps, and it's like it feels like every game mode there's a different gun that spawns at a slightly different location or the same location but different gun, and I just feel like that wasn't as big of a thing in some of the older Halos. Like I know there were some variants, but it felt like if I was playing on Zanzibar, the Spartan laser was there. And it just was
yeah.
always there. Even if it was like, why would I want it on this game? It's like, I don't know, but it's there though.
The only thing that ever happened was like nerfing maybe occasionally would happen,
Yeah.
but
And I'm
um,
okay with that, like weapon balances, but it's like when Halo 5 launched on the map Heretic, which I fucking hate that map, but there used to be a energy sword called the Arbiter's Hand or something, or the Prophet's Hand, which was like
yeah.
a fancy one, and it's just not there anymore, which is fine. I like the base one anyways, but like there are other maps, and the map rotation of Halo 5 is also just odd. There's
Does
just maps
the
they don't even have anymore. I
okay?
don't get where they went.
Does the bubble shield exist in the Halo 5 universe?
No.
No. God, I love the bubble shield. I'm glad
I
that they're
want them
bringing
to
it
bring it
back.
back.
Well, they did. There's a
Oh, that's
video of,
right.
it, isn't it?
Well,
Yeah.
is it
Well,
a
it's a bubble. It's not a shield. It's not the bubble shield. It's like a shield.
It's a well, they have a drop shield, right?
They have a drop
Which is more
shield.
like
Yeah.
the what was it called? Deployable cover, which was ass, but this one is more like fleshed out than the deployable cover, which is nice. But I agree with you. I think the bubble shield that was my favorite equipment.
Yeah.
It was just
Same.
fun to use,
And it
and I
made such
loved.
unique moments.
Yeah, my favorite thing was that they made it to where if you threw a spike grenade in the middle of a bubble shield, it would blow up, and if the bubble shield didn't explode, it would like all of the spike grenades would be bouncing, or all the spikes from the spike grenade would bounce around like needles.
Yeah.
I don't think they would do like damage from the bounce around, but like it was just a cool sound effect that happened. It was a cool
Yeah.
little moment.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, hopefully they'll expand. And this is kind of what we see with Infinite is it's like this, and we've talked about this. It's just kind of the sea of continuous development. They're like, we'll see, maybe, whatever,
Yeah, every
anything could
single
happen.
Inside Infinite is like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
audio it's in the game. Who knows where that's gonna go? It's like, fuck you. Tell
Yeah.
me where it's going.
Yeah, so
We're close. It's April almost, so maybe in June we'll know.
yeah, I
June,
think they're probably
July.
going to hold. They're going to stop. I think they're going to get to a point where they're going to have to save a decent amount until the November release.
I mean, they've got it. They've shared. It feels like they've shared a lot. They've shared like nothing.
Yeah,
Like they just have shared so many disjointed, tiny tidbits of info that if you look at them all connected, they don't connect almost at all, and it makes no sense.
well, even the stuff that they do share, it's like people go like ape shit over. So it's like I'm sure they're scared shitless over there.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely! I don't.
should we
Thank God
share
I'm not
this?
like. I'm glad I'm not working there right now. It must be so fucking stressful. It is so stressful.
Yeah,
So yeah, you do you. I want you guys to have a happy life and not hate your life. But at the bare minimum, I just want to know what I'm buying. I don't even know if the game's gonna be $60. All I know is it is on Game Pass and the multiplayer is free. So I don't even know if the multiplayer is free because it's on Game Pass or if like the multiplayer is just free.
I would think it'd be on Game
I
Pass. I mean, just the
well,
direction
no,
that
yeah,
they're
well,
taking.
I think the multiplayer is free outright. Like even without Game Pass, you have it free. So I'm like, dude, does it just? I do. I just want to know what my money is buying.
Yeah,
That's all I want to know. You can keep all the other
I mean,
weird stuff to yourself. Just tell me what I'm buying.
I'm sure by that time there won't. I mean, even though Gold got rebranded and Xbox Live got rebranded, and then I feel like by the time we get there, they're going to complete whatever the hell they're trying to do.
Okay,
with
actually, yeah. Before we go, there's a small tidbit that is like fueling our theory that gold is going away forever. And
Yeah,
it's just going to be free,
definitely.
which is they made it to where Xbox Live Party Chat is now free.
Good.
Which means you can play like on Xbox
awesome.
free to play games like Fortnite are free to play outright. You don't need game
That's
chat,
cross-platform too. That's really important for cross-platform play.
Yeah, and it's now at the point where I think the only and it's funny because when you say this in English, it's like the dumbest sounding sentence. I know a lot of people have not liked the idea of paying for Xbox Live, but it just always has been that way. And it in the past was like if you want to get on Xbox Live, you need to pay for it. It's like okay, fine. But now it's if the game is free to play, every part of that experience is free. And if you want to use Netflix or stuff like that's online, that's free. The only reason you need Xbox Live is to play Xbox Live games on a game that you paid for. So I can't play Call of Duty. Well, Warzone's free. So I couldn't play the new Battlefield on Xbox Gold unless I paid for it. But I can play Call of Duty Warzone, which is free, for free.
Yeah.
Which is like, now that is the only reason I have gold, it doesn't make any sense why we're getting charged for it. I mean, I know there's other reasons why we get charged for gold, but it just doesn't make any logical sense. And now there's rumors that Xbox is buying Discord, which makes sense why they just made Party Chat free. Because if they got Discord, I don't know if they're going to like absorb it or if they're going to like, I don't know what direction they're going to go with it. They could either say Discord is now Xbox Live Game Chat and then they make Discord
awesome.
like higher quality. Because Xbox, I'll give them credit, Xbox has the best audio chat hands down. It is so good sounding. So I would love if they were like Discord is Xbox's communication system now, and it's updated to Xbox's like quality, or they absorb Discord in Xbox Live, which I think would be the dumbest thing. I think people would get pissed off at them, even though it's pretty much doing the same thing. But
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's elements. I mean, Discord is a place for where people turn to have party chats for crossplay stuff.
yep.
And so like by securing their crossplay element, it
Well, see,
feels like
that's the thing
yeah.
is I use Xbox Live for crossplay because on PC you can just invite your Xbox friends as if they're on console and just talk to them over Xbox Party Chat, which is already cross-platform.
Yeah, but if you had an Xbox Live app on your phone that you could use like Discord and you could use your phone's camera to video chat, but yet it was kind of
Well, you
part of Xbox Live.
well you can't video chat, but you can do like I can use my Xbox Live phone app to be in a party.
You can put yourself in a party, but you're not using your phone's microphone to
Yeah,
talk. You can?
yeah.
Well, then you should be able to use your phone's video. Like basically what
Well,
I'm saying
I
is like if they could
yeah.
kind of allow your phone to take the hardware elements of chat, but then like so you could have your headphones that are connected to your controller that are going to your Xbox, but yet the video aspect of it is on your phone, and then it's like it's interplayed so everyone can hear each other.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean,
and
the only
that
reason why I can't do that now is because like Xbox Live doesn't have video chat. Like, but
well, but if
the
they absorb Discord, maybe I don't know.
yeah, I think it's a good move. I think they should do it, and I think Xbox Live will just kick ass with it.
Yeah, and same with like text chats. Even text chats would be because text chats are fucking worthless on the Xbox. Like if you've tried to ever send a text to
Oh,
somebody.
that's why I have the Xbox app on my phone. Is just
Yeah,
for that reason.
just for that. Yeah.
All right,
So.
well, good place to end.
All right, fellas. We're gonna attempt again on Wednesday to see if we can make our secondary show, and I'll probably talk more about it when we are successful.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thanks everybody for listening. Come next Monday.